Welcome to the Relatable Oklahoma Realtors Podcast, the show that sets out to demystify the world of real estate. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, investor, or a realtor with years of experience, this is where real estate is discussed and explained. Join me now for our hosts, Stacy and Burl Stricker.
All right. Welcome to our podcast. What's it called?
Oklahoma Relatable Realtors.
I'm Burl.
I'm Stacy Stricker.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. You know, I think it's important for them to, how do they get a hold of you?
Please just call.
Well, maybe get that information
580-821-4804. Here's the thing. People get I know other realtors can relate to this. If I don't answer, you know why I don't answer? Because I'm with somebody else. Yeah. And that would be rude if I don't answer. But buyers and sellers, they'll call somebody else if you don't answer. Just hang in there or text me and I'll be like, if I'm showing a house, I'll try to respond and say, hey, I'm in a showing. I'll call you right back. Or I'm in an appointment. I'll call you right back.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to help you.
Yeah, I told you that was kind of one of my pet peeves in the past, dealing with different realtors. Yeah. Before I met you, before I became a realtor.
Right. Let's be clear. You're not talking about me.
Well, yeah, I would call somebody and they wouldn't return my calls, or it would be days later, or those type of things, which made me feel like that my deal was not big enough. It was not important enough.
Well, and I think people need to realize now, there's so many spam calls out there. Really, if you don't leave a voicemail or a text, there's so many spam calls. I get spammed multiple times a day.
I think the more you're on social media, the more you're promoting your business, the more
spammed like crazy.
In fact, I'm kicked off Facebook, but I think that's why.
Oh, it's a spam.
It's just spam. And
So I think if someone doesn't leave a message or text me, then it's a scam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and I do try to call back, but sometimes I don't finish up till later at night. Well, that'd be rude if I called you back late at night.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my 2 cents on.
I think it's important to return call, but I think you have to call. Here's what I usually do. Call, maybe leave a message, but if it's a cell phone, text too.
I agree.
That way there's multiple,
and
this
that's
is why
what
I'm
I
calling.
do.
And
that's what I do with people is I leave a voicemail and then I follow up with a text hey, I just left you a message.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How do you think the market is right now?
I mean,
everybody asks that question.
There are buyers still there. People still want to buy houses. Oh my gosh, we need listings so bad. So we're in Western Oklahoma, Elk City, Oklahoma. Yeah. Our inventory is still crazy low.
Didn't you say it's a third of what's normal?
Oh my gosh. For years when I've been out here, when I first started in this business, Beckham County, the county we're in, we would float around. And this is not an exaggeration. 200 listings. Mm-hmm. And we're not a big community. 200 listings. We have been floating around since COVID around in between 50 to 60 listings.
Yeah.
We need listings. Now, when I say we need listings, doesn't mean you can overprice your house. Buyers aren't going to do that and pay crazy amounts. Yeah. Those days are gone, especially with the interest rates being higher, because if they're doing a loan, they just can't qualify for as much. So a 3% interest rate, they could qualify for more. Well, at a 7% interest rate, they can't qualify for what they could 2 years ago. So a higher interest rate equals a lower house. Right? Does that make sense?
Interest rate equals a lower house. Yeah. Because when you look at the overall financing, which is truth in lending, when you look at when the bank has you sign all those papers, how much interest you're really going to pay, it goes to the overall cost. Right.
Because your payment goes up. So that's what they look at, your debt to income ratio. Yeah. So if your monthly payment's going up, because your interest rate's higher, you can't qualify for a $200,000 house that maybe you could have at a 3% interest rate.
Well, and I'd love to hear your opinion on it, but according to what you just said, it's a great time to sell, but is it a great time to buy?
Yes. So if you're renting and you've been renting for years and you plan on being in the same location for years, yes, buy. Like interest rates still are not bad. Like they were crazy low for years. That's not normal. That is not normal at all. But like you paying someone else's mortgage is not what you want to do. You want to invest in yourself. Now, if you're not going to be in the same location for more than 2 years, then no, you don't want to buy. But, I actually had this written down to do a video on. Like people will go buy a car and they don't care what the interest rate is. They drive that car off the lot and the value drops immediately.
Yeah.
Why are we not concerned about that? A house is something you live in, that it is your largest asset. You, it will, you'll build equity in it, and if you live in that house 5 to 7 years, it's not going to lose value like a car is when you purchase it.
Yeah.
So we should not be worried about a 7% interest rate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Do you agree?
I think I agree with you. I think that, I think interest rates are more normal. And so I think it's not making decisions based on interest rates, so like based on your needs, based on your goals, which is maybe, again, if you're going to be here for a number of years, then it would make sense to buy.
Yeah.
I think that you and I have kind of disagreed on this point in the past, which is, it being your biggest asset. And I agree that it is to an extent. I think that part of when you're thinking about buying is that you need to put in your mind is maintenance costs. Like,
I agree 100%.
It's so easy to overspend on purchasing a home.
Right.
And the bank kind of keeps you from doing that,
Right.
But on the same point, I think in your mind, you need to even think about the maintenance because if you don't maintain that and like spend a certain amount of dollars every single year, then ultimately the value of that home is going to go down. If you take the market out of it, the market goes up and down and it's cyclical. You have your points of
cyclical.
That's a word. Is that a word? It goes in cycles.
I like it. Okay.
Yes, it goes in cycles. And I think that if you keep that out of your mind, meaning that at some points the housing is very expensive and then other times it's low. But no matter what, if you buy a house and you don't put money into it to maintain it,
I agree 100%.
Then you're going to lose.
You are. And then it's going to be like, okay, hey, we need to sell our house. This is like,
that's where I see
5 years later. And I'm going to come in and be like, okay, so maybe buyer's going to do an FHA loan and you've got flaking paint everywhere, and you need to anticipate that. So you're right.
It's kind of sad though. You hear this all the time. It's like, we're selling our house. Let's make it nice and get it ready. And you don't live in it like that.
That is so true.
And it's kind of sad because it's like, man, that's something you could enjoy.
But let's think about that house that, my gosh, we just closed on, and it had been on the market for a few months. Unfortunately, it had a lot of repairs. This was the third contract on it. But started out, where in the wintertime, the seller said, I'm going to turn off all the water. Okay. Big mistake. Don't turn off your water.
Mm-hmm.
Plumbing froze up. So when she turned it back on, pipes started leaking like crazy. So seller spent thousands of dollars to repair it and get it ready. Well, then that buyer ends up backing out. I don't know. I wasn't involved in that transaction. I just know it was here in our office. I don't know what kind of loan they were doing. Then it goes under contract again. For whatever reason, that buyer backs out. Then Peyton and I end up taking over the listing. And this one is an FHA loan, and that whole shed needed to be repainted. And they hired you to paint it and do a bunch of work. Well, that cost a lot of money too. Yeah. But the seller didn't live that way, or they moved out and left and ended up costing thousands of dollars.
You actually are bringing something to mind that I think is important. And I think that there's a large number of people out there who own vacant homes.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I actually have fallen into that category. I had a investment property that it was for rentals. It was like a small apartment complex. And that thing, like, I was living out of town and I was just not able to really manage it. And so it sat empty for a long time. And then, repairs started mounting up. Also, expenses started mounting up. And it was like, I told you, it was like one of my biggest burdens, really. It was just, a lot of pressure on me to deal with that. And I didn't think I was ever going to be able to deal with it. And of course, that's how we met, and you sold it, and that took that burden off me. But I think that there's a lot of people out there who are sitting on vacant homes. And, just what you were saying, it's like they're thinking about utility costs and man, it's going to be expensive to keep the water on, electricity on. And I think that that's when people really need to contact you and have you help them deal with that.
Yeah.
Because when you look at it, it's like, I think that when you have this vacant home, you automatically think that maybe has some repair issues. You automatically think that nobody will buy it.
That's simply not
true. And that's
true.
what I thought.
Right.
Honestly,
and
nobody will buy it.
Well, and in your case, I said, hey, this would sell better if you did X, Y, Z. And you said, okay, I can do that. And you had it done.
Yeah.
And we sold it. Gosh, we had so many showings on your property. It was unreal. And we had a couple offers on yours too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it just came to mind as we were talking that I think that that's like that message is pretty important because it really did two things. One is obviously you're looking for listings and I think those are important, but also it took a burden off me.
Yeah.
And those two, like it's like a win-win situation, and those win-wins, really in this day and time, it seems like it's hard to find a win-win.
Well, and here's what it comes down to. When a house is sitting empty and utilities are turned off, like it's deteriorating.
Yeah.
So if you have no intentions of moving back into that house or doing anything with that house, turning it into a rental or whatever, get rid of it. Put some money in your pocket or go invest it, and we can work around the repairs. So what we did for that seller is she didn't have to pay the repairs out of pocket. We did them right before closing. She had,
that's a great point.
She had enough equity in the house where it got paid out of closing, basically. And we have to take those case by case. If, a contractor is willing to do that, be willing to be paid out at closing.
But a lot of them are, especially the ones that you've worked with before who are used to it.
Yes. And
the ones that are used to it, I don't have a problem with it.
Exactly. But we can work around that. But letting a house just sit there and rot.
I think that it goes back to, like, I got into this cycle of, it had been a struggle. Then I have my last renter move out, and then you just feel overwhelmed with it. And then you kind of procrastinate. You feel like nobody can really help you. I was in that situation. I didn't think anybody wanted to help me sell it. I didn't think it could be sold. All these thoughts, but in like so many other areas of life, it's like really, you need to, the faster you act on it, the better you are, the better off you are. So once you have that last renter get out, or, that last renter's gone, then act on it quickly.
And I know people get overwhelmed because maybe it's full of stuff or whatever. Don't worry about it. Like, so we
let you help figure it out.
Right. We'll walk you through that process, and we've done, and it worked out pretty good where we did an online auction for a house.
Yeah.
The guy we just closed on this, 2 weeks ago. Where did I tell you that guy was from? Oregon. Oregon. Bought the house, sight unseen, online auction, drove down here at closing after he had wired his money. So, I mean, people are buying houses. What?
I just realized something. I know you're going to be like kind of blown away by this, but I think that 10% of the houses in our area or businesses are vacant buildings, houses. So that's I'm just quick number.
Yeah, I know. I'm sitting here
that's
thinking like marketing wise.
1,200.
Yeah. Like,
you know that?
I tell new.
Would you agree with that though? 10%?
Maybe. And here's the thing. I'm thinking as a new agent, get in your car, drive around, go market to those people. Like, you need new listings.
You think of it. I think that there's 1,200 businesses or like commercial or residential places that are empty.
You think just in
I think
Elk
they're
City?
Actually more than that in Elk City. The more I think about it, like that number sounds crazy, but then the more I think about it, like I've thought about several places that you and I drove by and we're like, oh, that's empty. That's empty. I think of like going to like Walmart the back way and you say that's empty. We're
going to do a follow-up podcast.
That I believe all the letters, about 1,200.
Okay. You and I are going to send out the letters.
And that's not counting Beckham County. That's saying
Elk City.
Elk City.
Okay. So Burl says 1,200. We'll do a follow-up podcast.
How many,
well, hang on, let me finish. We're going to do a follow-up podcast of you and I have marketed to all these places that look empty.
Yeah, I mean,
so we're going to drive around.
Commercial.
So I've done that before. Deb and I drove around one day. And I agree.
There's a time.
But a lot of these people, like, because I got responses out of those letters, like some of them live local. And they're like, oh, thanks for sending the letter.
Yeah.
They're so sweet.
How do you think this is a real question because I'm like, how did you differentiate? I can't say the word. How do you like stand out when? How
do I show value in me?
Well, no, I mean, kind of, but what I'm saying, like we get all kinds of junk mail.
Right.
In fact, I'm like very interested in this. And I was going to ask you if you've seen this. So, there's a huge billboard in Sayre, like right there where the truck stop is. And it says like commercial land and residential land for sale. Big, huge billboard.
Right.
And the number is a local number.
Uh-huh.
And so, and I think, and I'm curious, it's like, what they're marketing, is that effective? But part of it feels like when you look at the billboard, it feels very like some company out of New York City or something. It doesn't feel local.
Right.
It doesn't feel so, but you think about the same thing. You get all this junk mail and I don't know about you, but I get the mail and I just stand by the trash can and throw it in there.
So I think that's why it's really important that, you brand yourself. Like I've worked really hard to brand myself here and with my face. Like I will meet people and they will be like, gosh, that your name sounds familiar or you look familiar. And then when I say, oh, I sell real estate.
You're in Fred's.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. They're like, that's it. Yeah. I've seen your sign or I've heard your name but you have to stay consistent. So maybe like, you have to be persistent, not always consistent. Let me rephrase that. So maybe I send out a postcard. Well, then the next time I send out a letter, so it looks different. Well, I'm going to read a postcard. That's super easy to read, right? Well, if I get a hand addressed letter, I'm going to open that. There's that Stacy and Stricker again.
Yeah.
Right. So, but like when I encounter somebody, I immediately add them to my sphere of influence.
Yeah. Well, I think that it goes with my overall philosophy about marketing, really, period. It's about, especially content when it comes to social media. It's quantity over quality. I mean, quality is important, but I think that if you had to pick one, quantity to me is more important. In other words, constantly being out there, constantly being in their face without, I think people like have this paralysis of analysis when they're doing like, especially social media marketing. I struggle with this. It's like, I struggle with making a video and like with my, talking into the phone and making that video. You don't struggle with it as much as I do, but I think that it goes to that, paralysis analysis that you want to make it perfect. You want to wear the perfect clothes. Everything looks perfect. And then you don't end up doing it.
Well, and the thing is like with videos is you need to be you. And I learned that a long time ago. And really, I try not to go back and rewatch my videos because I would sit there and critique myself to death.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like, people already know what I look like. They know what I sound like. They know I've put on 10 pounds or whatever.
Yeah.
So
you haven't.
This is why I love you. But you know what I mean?
Right.
So who cares? Because hopefully they're listening to what I'm saying and not looking.
Quantity really wins in that deal.
I agree
like
with
where you're
you.
saying you're always kind of there and always. And one thing I like about, I think you have this philosophy, your office has this philosophy, and I think it's important too, where you're not always asking for stuff. I think that it's like it's like, I don't think it's more of a kind of, I'm here if you need me. Yeah. Instead of, I need you to buy this, buy this, right. buy this, get this, or do this.
I mean, I think we all have our own, what am I trying to say? Our own styles of sales.
Yeah.
And I don't consider myself the pushy salesman. Like, I will check in with you, which reminds me, I need to check in with someone that I talked to last week. I am that person, but it goes back to, this is a relationship business.
Yeah.
This is people's biggest assets. So I am not going to high pressure you to buy a house. If you like the house, you like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I will sit down with you and I will talk through it with you. Like, if this is the one or if this other one's the one, if you need to bounce that off of me. But most of the time, especially first time home buyers, they've brought their parents in with them. They've brought,
mm-hmm.
grandparents. They bring so many people in to look at the house.
Yeah.
They don't need my opinion, and I'm just there to facilitate the transaction and answer questions. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, we've talked about this before, and that's one of the things I can't stand about LinkedIn. But I will put a side note. I think your LinkedIn, I don't know if this is Jordan doing it, but your LinkedIn has gotten a lot better.
Yes, Jordan's doing
and
it.
I think that it's just consistently putting content out there.
Yeah.
I personally haven't cracked the code on LinkedIn, and I've struggled with LinkedIn because I like half of me thinks that it's a very valuable, tool app.
Yeah.
But the other half of me, I get so much like inbox.
Oh my gosh, trying to sell you something.
And I always say, and I stole this from somebody else, but I always say it's like them, they want to have sex without even dating you. That's how it feels. It's like straight to it's
so annoying.
It is. It's like, and I can show it to you. It's like constant. And then the probably really the most irritating part of it is, they won't just message once.
Right.
They message multiple times with no response.
Yeah.
And then I even had one, I ended up just blocking them because it annoyed me so bad, which was what they said was, I was looking at your social media and it was so bad that, pretty
like
much
it's offensive.
Just offensive.
Yeah.
And like, hey, your stuff's crap.
And it's
and
not.
And if you hired us, it would be wonderful.
Because you're like, you haven't looked at my stuff. Because if people have looked at your offensive TikTok, they would see you have 50,000 followers.
Yeah.
Now,
so
I'm just trying to.
It's a struggle for me.
Yeah, I'm trying to break 1,000 followers on TikTok.
Part of it is I struggle.
Do y'all notice that sometimes Burl doesn't listen to me?
I heard you. 1,000. You're trying to break it.
Burl has 50,000 followers. Burl's TikTok famous.
Not quite.
What do you mean? If you have 50,000 followers, that's a little TikTok famous.
I really have made up my mind. I want to get to 1,000. So. 100,000.
Oh, I'm like 1,000. I just want to crack 1,000 so I can go live. Why are we not going live right now?
We should. We can go live.
Do it right now. Get your TikTok going.
Anyway, I think that LinkedIn, I struggle to see the value of it.
Yeah.
But I think you've done a good job recently.
Well, kudos to Jordan. And here's the thing. The day that Jordan posted something, remember like 2 weeks ago, she posted some land that I have?
Yeah.
Boom. Oh, yeah. I got a message that night about someone asking about that
really
land.
Surprised by it. I mean, it does work every once in a while.
And then he called me. He was like, hey, did you see my message I sent you on LinkedIn? Yeah. Well, no, because usually all the messages are people trying to sell me junk. And the thing with LinkedIn, like when it first came out, I really thought it was like to connect you with other people.
Other professionals.
Correct. And it is so much selling crap. You want to sign up for this, for coaching and this.
Like a 5-minute call.
No.
5-minute call.
I don't want that.
I know. I think that somebody from LinkedIn ought to come onto this show and tell us the real deal. Because what's the plan here? Is it going to be continue?
Right.
There is value. I mean, I told you I'm a fan of like Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's an example. He can, some people find him annoying, but I think he has great information, and, he's very popular on LinkedIn and does some, and he is an advocate for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it for me. I've struggled with it.
Yeah. And like United Country promotes LinkedIn as well, like at our trainings and stuff.
Yeah. And United Country, I actually see their stuff on LinkedIn.
I do like looking at it because like when you look at other United Country properties across the United States, there's some amazing properties out there.
Yeah.
Some ranches that are just phenomenal.
I wonder what I always like somebody knows more than I do. I think I'm curious what the next big like app social media thing is. TikTok is, I'm not saying it's going away, but it's definitely downward.
Do you know, this is terrible. Like, so I'm not a big Twitter person. My phone didn't.
Now it's called X.
Okay. So I didn't realize that they changed the name and it didn't.
Elon Musk bought it.
Did an update on my phone whenever that happened. And I saw that I had this X app. I'm like, what is that? And I've been losing storage on my phone. So I went to go clear stuff out. I'm like, what is this? I don't even know what this is. I didn't even realize it was Twitter that had changed. I deleted the app.
I don't even have the app, but I have a Twitter, but I haven't used it. That's another one. I just never could get into.
I couldn't get into Twitter either.
But it's changed. And I think
I didn't even know he bought it.
Well, I think the biggest thing that's changed, and again, there's somebody more of an expert on this subject than I am, but I think the biggest thing that's changed, Twitter would block your content. If you put it something like a little political or they would kick you off there, or they would
really
take off that content. They would take off. But now I think with Elon Musk, they are a little bit more free speech and let you say what you want to say.
I initially started doing a social media because Jordan got on it, and I was like, what is that? If she wants to do it, I need to check out what it is. Well, then as our business changed and evolved, and I was like, this is a great business platform.
Yeah.
And what I find is the best business platform for social media is Facebook. We do Instagram, but I can't say that generates a lot, in TikTok, but I'm not as consistent on TikTok. No. I need to do better. So
I think there is I've been saying this, there's some value in TikTok. I think that people like to watch the videos. I think it's more personal. And I think yes, there is the fake, I'm going to put up like this. I want you to think I'm whatever, but I believe that TikTok was kind of founded on the idea of being real.
Yeah.
The more real you are, that may be all social media. I don't know. The more real you are, the more.
What do you think of Be Real?
I mean, I don't know.
It's just pictures.
That's another thing that I've struggled with. I haven't done that. I don't see how it will translate to business, but unless you're like, your current picture is I'm working and people that interest people. I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, our kids.
Yeah.
All have it.
Yeah.
But you and I don't have it. I don't know either.
Well, let's talk about flip houses. So we finished our flip house. When did we finish? Like March, April? I think April. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I feel like it was. So we bought the flip house in September.
Yeah. And we've had a few podcasts talking about it.
So we talked about it when we first bought it. We bought it for $15,000.
Yes.
And it was, you'll have to go look at our TikTok videos.
Yeah. What's your TikTok? People listening.
Stacy Realist. I don't have my phone. Pull up my TikTok. Jordan has my phone because she's working on social media right now. What sold us on that house was the location, because it was on multiple lots, the trees, and the price.
Right, so it's Stacy, STACEY, Real Estate.
Okay. So you can see the videos from...
no, actually, when you look at it, Stacy Sells Oklahoma Real Estate. Is that the actual?
Oh. Yeah. Stacy Sells Oklahoma Real Estate.
Yeah. Stacy with an E sells Oklahoma, Real Estate.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll kind of show you the journey. That's got 526 views. So
the one I just posted. Yeah.
And that was the finished product.
Right.
And then you've done some videos of like during the process.
Right. Yeah. So we ended up going over budget, of course. So what we learned is we need to probably what we think we're going to spend, add.
Yeah. Somebody said double.
Yeah.
And in
our
case,
appraiser friend told us to double it.
Yeah. Double time, double money.
Which he probably is pretty right on the double the money.
Yeah.
Right.
I think double time too. It's
we were hoping 3 months, and
I really started thinking about that because like when I went to go do those repairs on the house that we were talking about earlier, like automatically in my mind, I'm like, I need to double how much time I think it's going to take. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really, when I started, and it was true, it took me double the time really what I hoped it would take.
Yeah. Actually, now that I start talking about, I'm thinking back on it because we were posting those videos along the way. That's really how we got the house sold.
By doing the videos?
Yeah. Because we sold it before we put it on the market.
Yeah. And that's an amazing thing.
It really is.
I think we need to do better in that area on this next one.
Yeah. Because we did kind of slack off.
I think we can be very consistent.
Yeah.
You're better at making the videos than I am, but I think we do need to post.
You are very consistent at posting.
Well, I think we need to post possibly on both.
I agree.
You know, it does have an algorithm
followers.
where whoever posts first wins. And
really?
So like if we had the exact same video and you posted it first, you're going to win, which is fine. But I'm saying it like win way bigger than like when I post it second, even though I have the 50,000 followers.
Yeah.
Is that you're going to really, mine's not going to be as shown as much as yours is.
I see. So we ended up selling the house for, was it 109?
Yeah.
109.
Yeah. How much we put into it? Like 50?
We haven't even finalized the numbers.
I know, but it's like, I think it was like 50.
50 or 60.
Yeah, a lot.
So what we went over budget was on the AC. We knew we were going to have to put in central heat and air because it didn't have it. So we went over a budget there.
About 4,000.
We went over a budget on the roof. We didn't know we were going to have to redo.
Yeah, I would say 2,000 or 3,000 there.
Went over budget on the siding.
Yeah, the outside of the house.
Yeah, which we needed to.
Yeah, I mean it was a must.
It was a must. But I think it turned out amazing. Yeah. Amazing. It had original hardwood floors that we were able to salvage.
Yeah, the ceiling was a big deal.
Oh, it was.
Where
there was some
removed
gems.
The ceiling, the sheetrock, and you found that it had wood ceiling.
Yeah. So I think there was some pretty amazing things that came out of that flip. We learned that it takes longer than what we think because you did all the work basically.
Yeah, I mean, I had some
and your
help
son
here
Tyler
and
and Cortland. But we didn't contract out much. The heat and air, some electrical.
And that's part of the reason why it took us so long.
Yeah. You did a great job on it.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
And then we have, hopefully this Friday, I think we're closing on our new house.
It is. I got an email.
Oh, this one is a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And it will need another central heat and air.
And a roof.
And a roof.
Yeah, it needs a full roof.
We need to go back over there. I think
we didn't replace the full roof on the other one, but we're going
this
to
one needs
on
to.
this one.
I do want to, because it's not leaking, it's just in bad shape. I think we talked about this. I want to wait till the ends.
Well, and part of it, you want to make sure we sell something that has an insurable roof too.
Exactly.
Which you've been on that lately.
Gosh, no joke with all the storms. I think one thing we learned is we really need to plan our trips to Oklahoma City better to buy the materials.
Yeah, and
cut down on the trips.
Us really being mindful of that, of where we're buying things, how much we're spending. Too much was spent local. And again, we love local, but it's when you're on a big project, that's not the most cost effective way to do it.
Sheetrock costs $6 more a sheet or whatever, it's just, we can't do it.
Yeah.
It just eats up your budget.
Well, because the market stabilized a little bit more in real estate, you have to be mindful of your cost because you're not finding those deals where there's a huge gap between what you can buy, but you have to really be careful.
And we're not buying a $15,000 house. Yeah.
Are lower.
So this house is 47,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we came up from we started with like 35, I think, wasn't it? 35, and then we kind of went up from there.
Right.
But
I'm excited. We really want to take dilapidated homes and make them better. So it's improving the neighborhoods. So I'm excited about that.
We've talked about that before, and I think that's a real deal, that it's easy to just think, we just want to make money. Well, yeah, we want to make some money. That's for sure. For our effort and our time and whatever. But on the same point, we're actually want to also improve neighborhood.
Yes.
Improve the community, because we live in this community. I mean, it makes no sense to
and we're putting
not being part of it.
And we look at really what price point are buyers needing, because interest rates have changed. We want to sell this in $150,000 range.
Do you think that that's where the market's at right now too?
Yeah.
Like the house is medium.
Yeah. And that's still 100,000. Yeah. But I think 150 will be great. 160. Mm-hmm. We want to try to figure out, it's 3-bedroom, 1 bath. We want to try to figure out if we can add another bathroom.
Yeah.
Which I think we can. So I think we need to
forgot about that.
We need to go over and make a list this week.
Yeah.
Ooh, this week's going to be busy.
It's exciting. And I think the biggest difference, and I think this interests people. It interests me. Before we were able to work out loans where we didn't have any down payment. And this time we're going to have a down payment because we went up in our price.
Right.
And I think that when you're really dealing with anything that's going to be over $100,000 or right in that range, then you're going to have to probably, it becomes more an investment where you need to put money in.
Because we are expecting our expenses on this one to be $50,000.
Yeah.
So.
But I think that people look at that, like I think people would be surprised on how many deals that I personally have done. And now you and I have done a deal together where we had no money down.
Yeah.
And that's very doable.
Yeah.
But also you do go into these places where this range where you need to have some money down.
Right.
And I think that somebody looking to invest or start flipping houses or start doing those things, they just have to think, kind of at a lower range and maybe not make as big a margin, but yet because they don't, they may save that money, any cash they have, to actually go into the cost of it. So they may not ask for a bigger construction loan.
Right.
But those things always interest me because I'm like, when you've never done it before, it's easy to think it's impossible. It's like, I don't know if I could ever do this or, and I think it's very doable, but you just have to think through it.
I agree.
And I think that we always talk about is like going back to hiring a professional to help you.
Right.
If you're talking about getting a flip house or buying a house so you can flip it, then I think talking to a real estate agent and getting them to help you, tell them what your goals are and be upfront about it. And like, this is what I'm wanting to do.
Well, and just like the gentleman that bought the house online for auction, like he wants to flip that house.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit different experience because normally I build a relationship with someone while we're looking at homes. So I didn't have a relationship with him.
Yeah.
He bought this online. I didn't talk to him until after, and so I went over to the house with him and his sister's there. She's helping too. And I said, hey, call me if y'all have questions. I said, I have investors that I work with that I help along the way. And that's something that I do because when they come back to me to sell it, I want it to be successful. I don't want it to be a tough product. That doesn't benefit any of us.
Yeah.
So,
we want, you're right. We want them to win too.
Yeah. 100%.
And in this case, it's like, I think about, back to the commercial or the property that I had that I was stressed over. It was a win-win because you helped me sell it. I sold it. I got it off my plate. But the next person bought it. If it's that hopefully they can, it becomes an investment for them.
Right. And, it is like, you asked me like, why do you like doing real estate? And I'm like, in the very beginning, when I first met you, I'm like, I really like helping people. And when you take, this was something stressful for you, like your last renters had completely burned you out.
Mm-hmm.
And we all hit that point in some, form or fashion. Well, that's what it was for you. And same with Emmy. She was ready to be done with her property, another investment property. And that took stress off of her. Yeah. Like that's a good feeling when you know that you've helped someone in that
for sure,
that aspect. But
I'm excited, and I think that we'll be talking about this project, for the next few months. But then also, I think we'll have something. This is a teaser for the future that we're working on. So.
But hey, go check out our social media. Burl, he's got great content. Obviously, it's why he has 50,000 followers. His is it Flying W Ranch?
Yeah.
Back from when you had the ranch.
I'm actually.
And mine is Stacy Sells OK Real Estate. That doesn't mean like it's okay real estate. It's short for Oklahoma. But thanks for joining us.
Yep.
This was fun. We hadn't done one in a while.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you, Burl.
And thank you guys for listening.
Yeah.
Please like, review. Those things help us share. And if you're interested
follow, share.
Yeah, if you're interested in being on the podcast, or we'd love to have you a part of it if you're interested. Thanks. Have a great day.